Good day. It has been quite a challenging year for everyone, but that did not stop us from accomplishing what we're mandated to. And then some. The pandemic caught us off guard, but we stood up and continued to serve as guides, lighting the path for our LGUs in these trying times. As such, we would like to present our efforts, and here are the significant accomplishments of the Monitoring and Evaluation Division for the year 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic did not stop the natural risks present in our region, and recognizing this, the LGMed continued to pursue these programs under the E in the department's outcome framework. The regional and field operations centers were activated for most of the year. These are for the purposes of the Taal volcano eruption in January, the tropical storms that hounded the country, and the COVID-19 pandemic when the EOC was forced to activate 24/7 beginning March 14 up to now. Likewise, the division focused its efforts and partnered with the Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation on the updating of the Public Service Continuity Plan of the DILGR3, which, much like the Business Continuity Plan of the private sectors, is designed to ensure that the office can provide uninterrupted public service amidst all calamities and threatening situations. The Taal volcano eruption also served as a wake-up call and jump-started the preparations for standardized manuals that LGUs can use upon the eruption of active volcanoes. Hence, the division pursued the crafting of the Operation Listo Manual for volcanic eruptions with several NGAs, LGUs, and other stakeholders. As of now, the manual that will be used for a possible Pinatubo eruption is almost complete. Lastly, the division, in cooperation with our field offices, developed the second issue of Mahusay, a magazine showcasing the best practices of barangays in DRRCCA. Prior to the pandemic, the LGMed continued to exert unceasing efforts under the Manila Bay Cleanup, Rehabilitation, and Preservation Project. Several activities were conducted, including the commemoration of the first anniversary of the Battle for Manila Bay, regular cleanup drives, and a number of orientations and workshops. COVID-19 was also not able to stop our efforts for the program as numerous other activities were conducted online. These include the 5 batches of webinars on RA 7279 or the Urban Development and Housing Act and National Drive Against Professional Squatters and Squatting Syndicates, as well as several other workshops and write-shops. To cap this off, the team has also produced IECs and 2 editions of the Baybayin magazine, which featured the best practices on environmental management of Region 3 LGUs. The peace and order related efforts also were not stopped as LGMed continued its peace related efforts for the year. The Regional Peace and Order Council managed to meet prior to the enhanced community quarantine period on March 12, 2020. This was to harmonize the region's efforts on peace and order as well as in anticipation of the effects of the pandemic. From then on, however, the RPOC meetings took the online platforms for its regular assemblies. Efforts to curb insurgency also continued as the DILGR3, as the Secretariat to the Regional Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, conducted several activities aimed to further the government's whole-of-nation efforts to end this decades-long dilemma. These are highlighted by the RTF-ELCA quarterly meetings presided over by no less than General Carlito Galvez, our Cabinet Officer for Regional Development and Security for Central Luzon, and incidentally, the country's COVID-19 Chief Implementer. Towards the end of the year, our field offices stepped up and conducted Servicio Caravans and other related activities under the Retooled Community Support Program and the program Capacitating Urban Communities for Peace and Development, both of which are designed to address the needs of insurgency-prone barangays. Our peace and order efforts also include several anti-illegal drug efforts highlighted by the awarding of 51 local government units for the 2020 Anti-Drug Abuse Council Special Awards. And finally, we have also put our focus on programs such as the Prevention and Countering Violent Extremism or PCVE and the Barangay Tanod Skills Enhancement Activities, as well as the Enhanced Comprehensive Local Integration Program or ECLIP, wherein the grants for 142 former rebels were processed. Advocating socially protective LGUs, the division with the Resettlement Governance Assistance Fund program conducted several activities highlighted by the virtual MOA signing that was instrumental for the download of 18 million pesos to recipient Bulacan LGUs. Under the T in our outcome framework, here are the significant accomplishments of LG Med. The campaign for constitutional reform or CORE continued as it promoted amendments of some specific provisions of our constitution that will not only better the plight of our LGUs and citizens but also improve our response and rehabilitation capacities for the pandemic. On the other hand, the Lupong Tagapamayapa Incentives Awards and Seal of Good Local Governance Assessments were deferred due to COVID-19. But we have attended several activities relating to this, which are mostly targeted on the planning part of their 2021 implementation. Likewise, the team has also ensured the compliance of our barangays and other LGUs on the conduct of the virtual Barangay Assembly Day and the posting of public financial documents through the full disclosure policy. Finally, under this area, the LG Med continued to deliver its frontline and other services, which yielded to the following figures. And now we move on to the efforts on the COVID-19 pandemic. The LG Med, housing the Operations Center, worked tirelessly, especially in the first few months of the community quarantine, by serving as a medium of information and instruction for the field officers and LGUs pertinent to the dynamic COVID-19 guidelines. Matters such as the CQ implementation and public queries and complaints, especially for the social amelioration program, were accommodated and dutifully addressed. Right from the get-go, the division also employed a structure wherein internal teams were created and were delegated with different and clear tasks. 24/7 work-from-home duties were employed, and online systems on attendance and schedule tracking were established. In terms of the response activities, the office spearheaded the conduct of contact tracing orientations and regular reporting even before the rollout directives were given. The same holds true for the zoning containment strategy or localized lockdown guidelines, wherein the office initiated orientations and actively served as the secretariat to the Regional Interagency Task Force in concurring 1,263 areas under localized lockdowns. These were deliberated in more than 80 virtual meetings from June to December. As head of the management of the dead and the missing cluster, the DILG through the LG Med convened the regular regional MDM cluster and caused the coordination between different NGAs and LGUs on the proper management of the remains of COVID-19 patients both in the region and those coming from abroad. Further, the office took care of regular coordination and reporting tasks for matters such as locally stranded individuals, weekly regional task force on COVID-19 activities, and various monitoring reports. And in spite of all these, the division prioritized public education on COVID-19 as well as other related topics by maintaining a consistent online presence through the DILG R3 Med and DILG Central Luzon Facebook pages. The cumulative results of these efforts amounted to posts reach of more than 8.2 million and post engagement of more than 190,000. And finally, the LG Med ensured that the team was always in tip-top shape through regular coordinative efforts, workplace coaching prior and during the pandemic, as well as the recognition of the monthly mover or the most outstanding and valuable employee. The movers received 1,000 pesos cash prizes and plaques of appreciation for their excellent performance. And despite the overly exhausting year behind, the LG Med will always stand up to the task and deliver quality service through the accomplishment of our PPAs and implementation of initiatives and interventions that matter. With that, thank you very much. We are your LG Med, always moving forward.